Awakening, or a song of actualizing the way. This is one of the pivotal Chan Zen texts that really oriented the development of Chan as a movement, dating back to 6th, 7th century CE. Right? That would be approximately the beginning formations of Chan. So this text, Song of Enlightenment or Song of Awakening, is one of those pivotal texts. There are other texts that I've commented on previously. This is one. So Chan as a movement is a emerging counter-mainstream movement within Chinese Buddhism and by extension East Asian Buddhism. Was you could say a radical movement. Right? So the verses of this text are quite challenging to the received Buddhist tradition, right? The received norms of the gradual, sequential, stage-by-stage practice of the Buddhist path. Why is that? Because the emergence of Chan was countering this over-intellectualization, systematization, scholasticism of Buddhism. It was a reaction against that. Now, mind you, Buddhism arose from India 2,500 years ago, went to China around 1st, 2nd century. Right? So that's over 2,000 years ago. But when the teachings went to China, it's not like modern education now, it's systematized, everyone gets a textbook. It was really happening in a random, ad hoc way. And Buddhism doesn't have like one scripture, it has thousands. So it came at this random way, so it took several hundreds of years for the Chinese Buddhists to really systematize, intellectualize, conceptualize the actual Buddhist path. So, which entailed a lot of Buddhist scholarship, right? Internal monastic Buddhist scholarship. So, Chan emerged at a phase of development as a reaction against the scholasticism. So it proposed this direct, straightforward approach to the essence of Buddhist practice. And due to cultural differences, Chinese, by extension East Asians, are very practical. And the receiving cultural norms of China was also, the type of people that gravitated to this Dharma practice were folks of, especially Chan, folks of very, very learned, very high caliber, and you could say the educated elite. Not in the sense that they were all intellectualized. They were educated, but they were at the same time kind of resistant of the intellectualization of the teachings. Right? So the way they understood the Dharma practice was through their life. They want to understand through their lives. So one of the hallmark of Mahayana Buddhism, sometimes people refer to it as this celestialized Buddhism, right? Bodhisattvas, saints and sages, and demonstrating miraculous powers, and in a pantheon of divinities and so on. So Chan approach to that was really to bring it back down from the clouds, a very humanistic, practical, grounded approach in everyday life. And also around the emergence of Chan, Buddhism as this foreign tradition were periodically persecuted. Right? Monastic confiscation, institutionalized laicization, meaning forcing monastic to return to lay life, laicization. Right? So many of the practitioners moved out of the metropolitan area, the city, into the forest, as communities. So they're not really interested in this intellectualized, conceptualized, kind of celestial form of Buddhism. They're actually interested in how to survive in wilderness, how to build shacks, how to fetch water, cut firewood, build their buildings to practice. So the way they received Buddhism, the way they kind of integrated Buddhism was to understand it through their lives, the reality of the circumstances. How do I apply these lofty teachings into daily life? Right? So that was the larger context. Right? So keep that in mind. Now last week, I spoke about, I didn't get too far. I think I just got one line or two lines. So I'll read that again, and we'll move on to the next line. So last week was the first talk. The last talk, not last week. So the text goes, have you not seen those people of the way? The way is translated as Tao, like Taoism. I'll get to that point. Because in Chinese and by extension East Asian culture, everything is referred to as the way. The Confucian way, the Taoist way, the Buddhist way. There is no ism. Right? Ism is a kind of a 19th century Western construct. So they refer to things as the way. Right? Like even in modern time, different parts of East Asia, they still refer to things as the way, like the way of archery, the way of flower arrangement, the way of martial arts. Everything's basically the way, right? So that's the context here. So this is a term that resonates with the indigenous Chinese people. Right? So here it says, have you seen those people of the way who have nothing to learn and nothing to do? They neither discard wandering thoughts nor seek the truth. awakening, nirvana, whatever you want to substitute. The true nature of fundamental ignorance is Buddha nature. This illusory, empty body is the Dharma body. After realizing the Dharma body, there's not a single thing. Your original intrinsic nature is the authentic, innocent Buddha. The five skandhas, or aggregates, are the illusory comings and goings of floating clouds. The three poisons, greed, hatred, ignorance, are the transient appearing and disappearing of bubbles on ocean's surface. Right, so this is the first verse. This whole first section, several verses, all talk about the view. Right. The next section, these sectionalizations, I'm doing that. Right. The poem itself doesn't have these sections. So we're still on the view. The view is very important because the view is the compass that guides the practice. If the view is skewed, then the practice becomes skewed. Now, if the view is sequential, then the practice becomes sequential. If the view that we understand through which we engage in Dharma practice still has the stench of duality, polarization, or still has the stench of reifying things, I'll get to that point, then your practice will result in reifying things, solidifying things, right, in an oppositional way. So Chan, if we understand Buddhism like a pyramid, foundational teachings, intermediate teachings, Chan is like the top of the pyramid. It cannot exist by itself. It needs a foundation. But you could say it's the top of the pyramid, or you can say like a bullseye. This is the center of the, what is that called? Bullseye, right? The most important point that you're trying to aim at. So the view that's talking about here is deconstructing oppositions. Usually when we come to practice, because we are stressed, we have a lot of difficulties, anxiety, vexations. So we come to the practice seeking to rid ourselves of vexations, to gain some clarity. Now this is a very natural, you could say it's biologically, neurologically wired in us as a species. We want happiness, we don't want suffering. But are we limited, bound, tethered by our neurological wiring, by our physical form? If all this is what it is, nothing more, then we're in trouble. We're not just the sum of all these different psychophysiological and neurobiological parts. There's something wondrous, when we have all these parts come together, there's something more there. Right? Even though we're wired to think in polarized way, I want to get rid of this and I want to get that. That does not define who we truly are. Right? Instead, if we examine how our vexations arise, the troubles that we have with others, colleagues, workspace, friendship, family, how we experience suffering, at the core of suffering is precisely this polarized way of experiencing things. I want this moment to be other than what it is. I don't want this, I want that. So when the text talk about, have you seen those people of the way? Now the way refers to the Buddha way in the context of this text, right? But the term the way is how the Chinese, and by extension East Asians, understand spiritual practice. They don't understand it in terms of something stagnant, like religion, like a noun. The Chinese understand spirituality, religious practice, and so on in a verb form, in a process form. Now, when you think about the way, it's something we have to walk. It's not you have to study. If you study the way, you're not walking the way. You're not walking the road. Nothing will ever change. Does that make sense? So the whole orientation of the way people approach the way is embody it, to travel on it, to walk it, to experience it. Those people who have, completed the way or travel on the way, right? What is the result of that? Nothing to learn, nothing to do. And when we examine the way we do things, all of our actions, however minuscule, however trivial, are always filled with an agenda. You think so? Even like a fly troubling us when we talk, there's an agenda there. There's intentionality there. And no matter what kind of actions that we have through body, speech, and mind, the agenda is inseparable from this fundamental cause, the root of our vexations, suffering, and that is grasping, rejecting, having, lacking, right? Good, bad. I want this moment to be other than what it is. So this doing, what is it like for a person who have accomplished the way from point A to point B? What they realize that there's nothing to do. Nothing to accomplish. Now, nothing to learn is actually a Buddhist Indian technical word. It refers to an arhat. An arhat is someone who has no more learning. They're liberated. They're liberated from the cycle of suffering, greed, hatred, ignorance, and the actions that stem from that perpetuate it. Right? So what do these people have to say? So the following presents the view of awakening. It is on this view that orient our practice. If that which orients our practice still involves, having, lacking, grasping, rejecting, all these reified, solidified things and notions and ideas, then we're in trouble. Then that's what we end up, cause and effect. Right? So what is it that they have realized? They neither discard wandering thoughts, nor seek the truth. Now, when we begin to practice, why we are here, what propelled you here to the center? Or those of you who sign on the Zoom, what propelled you is you want to discard something and you want to seek something. So a person of no more learning, an awakened one, is freed from that. Now this sounds pessimistic, but it's actually radically optimistic. Right? Radically. And here's what follows. The illusory body is the Dharma body. What is the Dharma body? The Dharma body is another word for body of reality, the truth, nirvana, awakening, embodied. Right? So we say the body of reality. It's a very unique way of phrasing awakening. Right? Now, usually when we think about awakening, we talk about, we think of it as a cerebral thing. It's an experience. It's kind of some ideas change or something. Anyway, something you experience over here, right, in the head. Right? Now, the Buddhist way of explaining that, such as Dharma body, is that it is embodied truth. Embodied. Right? So the reality of how things actually are existing every cell of your body. Right? So this body, side, password. Okay. Good. I have the text in front of me. Illusory, empty body is the body of reality. The Dharma body is something unique. It is one of the three characteristic corporeal traits, physiological traits of the Buddha, the fully awakened one. Dharma body, the reality, every fiber of his being exudes the Dharma. Right? Not in a metaphysical, mystical sense. The truth. Embodied. The Buddha also has a second so-called body, right? Sambhogakaya, which means body of beatitude. It's a Catholic term, beatitude. So you can understand that as the body of all the merit and virtue that the Buddha has cultivated. It's exemplified by his body, his presence. The third is Nirmanakaya, another way to look at the body, to understand the body of the Buddha. That is the physical form. Right? 2,500 years ago, walking on earth in northern India, teaching, that's the Nirmanakaya, the physical body. So 3 ways of embodiment we can understand. Now this text is talking about bringing together all of these 3, or to put it down, to put it in simple terms, our body, the Dharma body, is this body. You embody the truth. Now, in traditional Mahayana Buddhism, to which this text is kind of countering, right, the celestial form, usually people have to practice, eons upon eons, to experience the Dharma body. So John, pulls these ideas right down from the clouds and say that this body is the Dharma body. Now, the way we experience our bodies is very important. Most people don't experience the body. Now, you may find that strange. This is my body. I experience it every day. Actually, many people are disembodied. They're divorced from their body. Some people even run away from their body, especially if they have experienced some trauma. Some of these trauma are actually lodged in the body. In other words, when they experience some trigger, the body's own intelligence has a corporeal response to the circumstances. Do you believe it? If you see someone, you just have a physiological response before you even think about things. And so they suppress that feeling. They want to run away. People that are raped. The way they experience their body, the way they experience the sexuality of their body is affected by the trauma. Sometimes they don't want to know their body. Or they have some particular views about their body parts. Now, bring it down a notch. Most of us share a particular views about our body that's mediated by the media. Certain body types are considered good. Right? Other body types are not so good. Right? Some body types are ideal. And through osmosis, just by living, we embody these views. These views stem from probably some corporate institution that want to sell us some stuff. So we don't know how we got it, but we just grow up with certain understandings of our body. The way we relate to our body. Some people run away from it. Some people constantly try to sculpt it. Some people avoid it. Some people are not even aware the existence of their body. how is it possible that this body that has to go through the toilet, has to eat, has to, we have to kind of lug it around. And I have several students who's constantly going through surgery with the body, right? It causes pain. It causes them anguish. Right? I have a student. He's young. You take a look at him and think, oh, he's a healthy young man. He's had something like 37 surgery on his body. His relationship to the body is completely skewed by his past experiences. How is it possible that this body, and Buddhism has its own way to condition the way we should view the body, right? There's a whole meditation practice that contemplates the impurity of the body, right? Using the body, where we relate to the body in our relationship with others. Sexually, socially, politically, Buddhism has a say about that. In targeting our grasping and rejecting the vexations that we have, Buddhism have found that the very first thing that most people attach to, and that's why this is the first line here, after he gives a prelude about how awakened people, nothing to learn, nothing to study, the first thing it attacks is the body. Why? This is the first human instrument that we've ever come to know. This is the instrument through which we learn, we experience, we eat, we feed, we live. It's the first thing from the time of the Neanderthals up to now, the instrumentality of the body. The externalization is the externalization of our internal states. So to change the internal states, Buddhism has something to say about the body. What is that? Most people are grasping, rejecting, having, lacking, all these different things. So the Buddhism typically has a pessimistic view of the body. The body is a source of attachment, source of anguish, source of vexations. And if we reflect in our lives, it's kind of true, isn't it? Think about it. Think about the last time you were vexed, troubled, challenged, and threatened, and something to do with the body. Other people's perception of it, your own self-perception of it, or your own experience of it. Like, I gotta get an operation. We're all experiencing it. Coronavirus. Right? We have physical distance. The body is the cause of a lot of things in our life. Right? And because it is the first instrument through which we experience the world, it's the source of a lot of our attachments. So going to the root, Buddhism has its way to work with it. Now, generally, not so positive, right? The ways to, if we're attached to it, Buddhism talks about detaching it. Right? If we're detached, Buddhism talks about you have to attach to it. Right? But for most people, the root of the vexations, afflictions are kind of grounded in an embodied way, whether they like it or not, whether they know it or not. So Buddhist view is target the body. So that's the received tradition. Now this text presents a radical view. not cataphatic. So it's another Catholic term. To understand God, God is not this, not that, not that, not that. Cataphatic. In negativia, right? So the Chan view is usually, apophatic. Apophatic. Through negativia. Buddhism traditionally has this view too. Emptiness, awakening is not this, not that. Chan usually takes a cataphatic view, positive approach. Right? What he's saying here, essentially, is that this bag of bones, bag of viruses, germs, and feces and urine, and this is the body of reality of the Buddha. That's what it's saying. So for one who is awakened, that is the perception that they experience. Now we can take it on faith, which Buddhism says is important to begin the practice, but Buddhism actually provides a path. You walk it, right? The way in which you begin to embody this view. To embody it, the first stage is we have to come to understand the body. The body's impermanence, the body's constructedness, and expose the way we relate to the body. We have to see it, then we know how to work with it. Does that make sense? Right? We have to expose our relationship with the body. And then we have to embrace, accept it. Why? Because there's a history to how things are. There's a history to why we relate to our bodies in a certain way. That history is just an easy way to understand a technical word in Buddhism called karma. That's what we're talking about. How we have lived in a particular way, shaped ourselves in a particular way. Of course, the shaping is not only through our own individual, but we are connected to our surroundings, our friends, our family. So in a relational way, we have karmically formatted our relationship to our body a certain way. So the first stage of practice of bringing together this gap, this body of vexations, is the body of reality, is to expose, to recognize, to understand the limits of the body, the way we relate to the body, the way we live our life through the body. Right? Because this is the first instrument, the first indicator of our interior life, some of which is unconscious, subtle. By the way you carry yourself, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you stand. And the way you treat the body. Reacting or debunking, deconstructing the received way in Buddhism how we relate to the body. negativity, you gotta subdue it. It's full of desire, you gotta suppress it. Chan's way is to fully embrace and understand it. Because the view of awakening is, it's all good. This is the seat of awakening. This is the foundation, not something outside of us. This is the instrument. So we have to understand it. Now, with this view, we engage in practice. It's not to say that we allow the body to do whatever it wants, cause other people vexations, allow the desire to flourish. No. That's our habit tendency. That's the way we're conditioned, karmically, historically, through our family rearing process, the way your parents relate to your body, the way that you have learned to relate to your own body. And religiously, you come across Buddhism. Buddhism tells you what the body is like. All of these things turn it right side up, because those views of the body tend to separate, reify, solidify, demonize, other the body, which is you. Right? So if we relate to the body, this is the body of filth, germs, virus, I don't like it, and I want a Dharma body, the body of beatitude, the body of reality, then we're always living in a life of deception, of rejecting ourselves and seeking something better, which is the cause of suffering. Does that make sense? So fully embrace, even my student in his mid-30s, who's had 37 operations, every part of his body almost, fully embraced. This is the body of reality. With that view, immediately, the way we relate to the body changed. Right? We no longer think in terms of, I don't want this, I want that. I don't like me, I'm too fat, too tall, too thin, too short, too old, too young. Like when I was young, I wish I look older. How many of you felt like that when you were younger? I always had this, never, okay. Jeanette, never. I always had this baby face. So my teacher, since I was 24, 26, I don't remember, 26 years old, my teacher started to send me, represent him, to teach Chan, Sweden, different parts of Taiwan, and I have this baby face kind of, and people look like, okay, where's the teacher? One time he sent me to a corporation, big corporation in Taiwan. They want to learn meditation. They want all their workers to learn meditation. So I arrived with my Dharma brother, who's older, and immediately they go to my Dharma brother. Say, thank you, Venerable. I'm ready to teach you. And my Dharma brother's like, the teacher said. So I'm like this young, skinny, So I'm, damn. But now, I'm 53. And I look younger than 53, right? It's paying off. My young looks are paying off, right? No, but seriously, a lot of people, we cannot even like the way that we look young. We have a problem with it. Right? Too young, too old, too fat, too tall, too thin. We can make anything into a thing, reify it, and then attack it, our self-image. This is the mind's disease. So, the immediate, most direct way is this is the body of reality. And it comes in the shape of tall, thin, fat, short, young, old, round, square, rectangle, all kinds of shape. But we have to understand. We have to get rid of the habit tendencies, the way we relate to the body, the way we reify, solidify it, demonize it, accept it, and then work with it. So the foundation of our practice is non-dualistic. Right from the beginning. Right from the beginning. The cause, the effect, and the path that bridge the two are congruent, consistent. Does that make sense? You don't plant the seed of polarization, othering, self-demonization, and you expect to, as the cause, and you expect to experience the fruit of, harmony, non-dual, and accepting, compassion. It's inconsistent, incongruent. So, from the perspective of awakening, even though this is talking about a state of awakening, those people who have awakened, this is a kind of the trail of crumbs that they leave us. And what we're doing is picking them up. Picking up the crumbs and imbibing them. So use that as a compass to reorient the way we have habitually othered ourselves. To bring it back to harmony. So, illusory body is the Dharma body. After realizing the Dharma body, there's not a single thing. I italicize thing. This is simply the Chan way, the Zen way of referring to a technical word, kind of a jargon in Buddhism, which is attachment. We all heard that word, like attachment's bad, demonize it. What is attachment? It's basically a kind of the way that we solidify that which flows freely. We make it everything. We make everything into a thing. We make a big deal out of everything. Right? So it's not a pessimistic view, like after realizing the Dharma body, there's not a single thing. It's just voidness. No. Everything is there. Everything is miraculous functioning of awakening. All the things that this body does. Drinking, sleeping, walking, talking, pooping. Today I taught my daughter a word. Because she doesn't like reading, so we went to a restaurant, they're talking. You know how kids, when they get together at a certain age, they like to talk about farts. You know that? Yeah. It's like, I farted. No, you farted. No, you farted. You farted. You farted. They like to talk about farts. So I say, okay, I'm going to teach you a word. It's called euphemism. So what is euphemism? So you take something that sounds not so good, farting, pooping, and you use another word. So, like pooping, for example, I said, we can say, we're going to be doing the unicorn thing now. I'm going to be doing the unicorn thing. And can you think of some other word, euphemism for pooping? And they raised hands. It's like, making chocolate muffins. I was like, yes, euphemism, making chocolate muffins. So the way we understand things, right, shapes our experience. Right? Now this text, if we use the word, label it, reify, or solidify into a thing, and has a negative valence, right? The body is the source of desire. It's a source of vexations. It's impure. A euphemism of that is what? The body, okay. Amy? Instead of saying the body is the source of our vexations, we can say the body is.
Instead of saying that it's a source of vexation?
Yeah. Okay. What is the euphemism? The body is dharmakaya. Dharma body. Right? Our relationship changes. Does that make sense? We tend to reify things, so solidify things, and we bring all kinds of ruminations and notions and association with that. So, here it says, after realizing the Dharma body, it's not a single thing. Because we tend to make everything into a thing. So the first step is to make it into a better thing. Right? So, vexations, this person is annoying, that is my mortal enemy, this is a jerk, and that is, pain my, fill in the blank. You turn into, that's a bodhisattva, this is my teacher. Why? They reveal the shortcomings, they expose the tendencies, the way I fixate on them, the way I categorize people into friends and foe, good and bad, beautiful and ugly. Change your view. You can try that. Eventually, you don't need to have any label on them. Not a single thing. As soon as you give it a label, you make it into a thing. Is that right? So we have to learn to be flexible. Flexible. So Buddhism has a whole host. Mahayana Buddhism, early Buddhism has a whole host of labels that we can use. In the Mahayana tradition, people that are annoying, we can see them as our teachers. Someone that we're attached to, sexually, emotionally, we can change it around. Euphemism. Right? Like a woman for a man. If a man is attached to a woman, you see them, sister. Sister so-and-so. Unless, of course, we're into incest, and it doesn't work, right? So you gotta change another word, right? Or an elderly person, uncle, or auntie so-and-so. To change it, right? So the flexibility of things, that's its nature. We have to expose the way we tend to see things and give it more pores, give it more room, allow it to evolve, because that's the nature of how things are. They evolve and they change, and there is no fixed thingness to things. But if we have trouble, give it another name, euphemism. Right? Until we don't need to. We don't need to label. It doesn't mean we don't use words and language anymore. What the circumstances call for, we use label to describe. But in our heart, we're free of labeling, discriminating. So this is very concrete advice. Right? These verses. Concrete advice to, we only need to look into our lives to see the sources of our vexations, exposing them, embracing them, then learn to work with them. Right? And then we can be free of them. This fourfold process of exposing, embracing, working with, transforming, and letting go of them is the way to bridge what? This body from the body of reality, right? This physical body. Our vexations to awakening. Right? Cause and effect, bridge. What is the path? The path is this fourfold process. It's not a linear thing. It's a reciprocal. The more we expose, the more we need to let go. The more we let go, the more we expose other things and allow us to work with them. Does that make sense? Yeah? So it says, after realizing the Dharma body, there's not a single thing. Your original intrinsic nature is the authentic, innocent Buddha. Buddha means awakening. Right? This word innocence in Chinese is 天真. Innocence has this flavor, right? And we pick it up in the presence of practitioners. Genuine practitioners. You know? They don't reify things. They don't solidify things. They're not fixated. They're open, receptive. Allow things to be. Right? They have principles, and they are engaging practice diligently, but there's something about them. If we engage in spiritual practice, the more we practice, the more we become rigid, you know something is wrong. Something is solidifying, reifying. The view is wrong. Does that make sense? Their view that guides the practice, something is off because they're still struggling, engaging. The more we practice, the more, it's not to say the person become childlike, like some people have this idea that spiritual practice is like this innocence of a child. There's something to that, but definitely it's not like a child, right? A child's attention span is like that, right? And it's kind of dumb, right? It doesn't really know things. It doesn't know good from bad, right from wrong. It's not to say we don't know right from wrong, but there's an openness, presence about them. Right? There's a presence of freedom about them. They don't bring the baggage, luggage, preconceived notions built on some ruminations, and they project it onto whoever they're talking to. Right? So when in the presence, we feel seen for who we are, right? Accepted. That's practice. So the innocent Buddha, refers to, all this section talks about the awakened ones. Right? Your original intrinsic nature is this freedom, non-reification. That is our true potential. Right? So practice in accordance with that. When the cause is like this, the effect will be the same. The way we relate to ourselves, right? We don't separate ourselves from ourselves. Right? More and more we become more congruent, unified. Whatever the body's doing, the mind is right there. Right? And more and more we become grounded. Less and less our views, our fixations becomes more fluid. That is our true nature, innocence. Right? This innocence has two aspects. Two aspects. And these two aspects are the qualities of how things actually are. The qualities of the Dharma body, the truth body. What are these two qualities? The Buddhist jargon is emptiness and impermanence. That's the Buddhist jargon. But on the working end of practice, emptiness means relationships. How all things are connected. And impermanence just means freshness. New beginnings. So the innocent Buddha, that's our intrinsic freedom. The more we practice, the more we're able to connect with people. Does that make sense? The more we are able to relate, less fixations here, the more we see the interconnectedness. And the rigidity, as it diminishes, new possibilities arise. So what we see, when we experience our possibilities, impermanence. Right? So reorienting, habituating ourselves to be in alignment with the correct view, the practice. If your view is that of rejecting, grasping, having, lacking, wanting, needing, good, bad, sometimes it's useful. We have to tell from good from bad. But in our heart, relationships, new beginnings. Does that make sense? That is the way we orient our practice. The way we relate to our bodies, anew. The way we relate to others. The way we avail ourselves to all the circumstances of our life. You don't say, I have the Dharma body, whereas you have the filthy body. Everyone has the Dharma body, so we are among good company. Everyone. Yes, even those people that cause harm. On a conventional level, they're causing harm. We know from good from bad, of course. But there's still potential, new beginnings. And the way we relate to them will change. Right? So, okay? All right. All right. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions, but next time I give a talk, we'll begin with questions.